Hey, what is up guys? It is BrenSki and today we are going to be cooking some tuna patties. Now personally, I really hate that kind of canned tuna, gross, nasty, slimy taste, but trust me, after cooking this kind of recipe, it tastes awesome. So let's get into it. Alright guys, this is pretty much about everything you need to make some tuna patties. So you want to make sure you drain out your tuna and get rid of any excess liquid that is in the can. Alright, so now first let's scoop out our tuna. Now personally, I like to use about 2 cans. You can do more. You can pretty much just double up everything else that I put in this recipe. 2 cans makes approximately 3 patties. So just keep that in mind. If you want to make, let's say 6 patties, you would want to use, about 4 cans. So next let's put in some light mayonnaise. And I like to put in just about 1 serving. That's pretty much 1 tablespoon. You just kind of eyeball it. You kind of scoop it out with a knife and just drop it in. Okay, so now with the next piece in this recipe, you have about 2 options. So you can either go with some breadcrumbs or some quick oats. So really they're about the same. They do pretty much the same thing in the recipe. They really taste honestly about the same after I've tried each of them. Personally, I prefer the quick oats because there's gonna be a bit more protein in there than the breadcrumbs, only by about 1 gram. There's 0 sodium with the oats and you get quite a bit more potassium, but there is less fat with the breadcrumbs and less calories. So really it's up to you, whichever one you want to use or whatever you have. Both work equally well. So today I'm just going to put in some quick oats because that is what I prefer in the recipe. I just put about 1 serving, which would be ½ cup dry. So I like to measure everything out so things taste the same. Some people like to just dump stuff in, but personally I like to measure everything out. I'm a little bit mathematical. I don't know about you guys, but that's just how I am. Without dropping all over the floor, just kind of dump in 1 serving. Okay, so next we have some ground flaxseed. Now this stuff has a ton of fiber, which is really great for staying regular. And I just put in pretty much 1 serving, which in this case is 2 tablespoons. Next we have our white quinoa, which is a great source of extra protein. Got to get all that protein in. So this is about 1/4 cup dry for a single serving. Now this is going to give your tuna patties a little bit of a seedy type of taste to it. So if you don't really like quinoa or the seediness, you don't have to include this. But personally, I like to throw it in there because it's extra fiber, extra protein, extra gains. Next we have our sharp cheddar cheese, and pretty much any kind of cheese you throw in here really is just whatever you like. I just kind of eyeball it with the cheese personally. I do like a considerable amount of cheese. I only recently have started to put cheese in here, and I find it tastes so great with the cheese. It's just got that extra cheesy taste. Don't like cheese, don't put it in, but personally I really like cheese. And then lastly, we're gonna be just throwing in some garlic and onion powder. So if you have any other seasonings that you like to put in, I just like garlic and onion powder. Get a little extra bit of flavor in there. And you kind of just dump it in. You don't have to be perfect with everything you throw in here. Just certain things I like to measure out so that those kind of stay consistent, but the flavorings you really just put in however much you really like. So lastly, we're going to be mixing this here. Now I use a spoon to kind of mix it up, and then after mixing up with a spoon, then I'll use my hands. So you want to make sure you have some clean hands for this. As any time you go start cooking something, you want to have some clean hands. So you just kind of mix it up here. Okay, so now that I have it decently mixed up, now we're going to be kind of clumping it together into our little patties. So first you want to just kind of, clump it together. And this is where the mayonnaise comes in, and the breadcrumbs or the oats, and it kind of just solidifies it. So you can kind of pack it in, as you can see. So I'm just going to pack it in right here. You just kind of mash it together. It should kind of stick together because tuna is kind of it's kind of moist already coming out of the can. As you can see here, we got a good little patty. So I'm going to be putting these aside for when we get to cooking it. All right, so now that we've got all 3 of our patties ready to go, first things first, we are going to want to pick these up. And first we're going to spray some vegetable oil down so they do not stick to this pan. So you can use vegetable oil or whatever you got, pretty much anything, just keep it from not sticking to the pan. So you're going to set them down. And then, just make sure they didn't kind of crumble apart when you picked them up. They should stick together pretty decently. And so now you've got them there. So now I like to cook them on about medium, and you just start cooking. Okay, so now they're just about done, so I'm just gonna turn the heat off. I'll let them sit for a little bit. Just be careful not to burn them because they are pretty easy to burn. They do not have to cook for very long at all. So I'm just gonna put them on the plate here. We've got our little tuna patties. And what's great about tuna patties, you can throw it on a bun and kind of make it like a burger, or just eat it with some white rice, or just eat them by themselves, and they taste great that way too. Alright guys, that's all for today. I really hope you enjoyed this recipe. Let me know down in the comment section below what you think of this recipe after you try it out, because I think it is absolutely delicious. Be sure to like and subscribe, and stay tuned for more content, and I'll see you in the next one.